What's up, everyone? Thanks for tuning in. Welcome back to another episode of our Driver Focus. We're here in Portland, Connecticut again at my shop, interviewing this time Andrew Molleur from Shelton, Connecticut. I think that's right?
I think that's right, yeah.
All right, Shelton, Connecticut. So, Andrew, thanks for joining us. We're going to talk a little bit about your racing career. I know we mentioned it a lot on the Facebook Lives, but never actually got to sit down and talk about it from years ago up to now. So thanks for joining us.
It's been a long journey. I'm definitely excited to go over it a little bit, but thank you for having us in your shop here today, man.
Yeah. So we, like we usually do, we kind of get right into it and talk about a lot of different things from start to finish. So we'll go back like we normally do. How did you get into racing, and what were kind of the biggest things that made you race as long as you have been up to now?
Yeah, man, I got into racing because of my dad. My dad raced over on the Whalen. He raced SK Modifieds. He raced on the Whalen Tour. He raced a little bit of the Busch North Series, a little bit as they used to call it back then. My dad is, I'm a second generation, racer. My dad's first generation racer. My grandfather was a farmer. My great grandfather and all my family passed my dad's side, all farmers. So had nothing to do with racing, had nothing really to do with anything but tractors and all the stuff like that. So my dad kind of always into the motorsports. He raced dirt bikes before he got into cars. Was kind of getting beat up, had some surgeries and some pretty nasty crashes. So he decided to go the four-wheel route, and had had a guy that he knew that raced pro stocks at the time, and started working on his team. And when he retired, in the late 90s, my dad kind of got an SK Modified from Mike Buckett with the CD, and because he was the closest chassis builder over in Oxford. So got a chassis from him. He went and raced SK Modifieds over at Stafford, and a couple years later he bought another car, and they went Whelen Modified Tour racing. So my dad kind of is definitely the biggest influence on me and my racing career. So without my dad, I definitely would not have been able to do, what I've done. He was definitely the biggest inspiration for what I've been able to do. So I'm definitely happy that he chose the racing route and not the farming route, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's really cool to see, because like my dad never raced, but he was always not involved in racing, but was just an avid fan. Knew what racing was going on in the racing world. Watched it on TV for a long time. Had other people in my family that were interested in racing. I remember him telling me stories going back. I think he went to a couple races in Dover in the late 90s or early 2000s. So really cool to see. But we interview a lot of drivers during our Driver Focus that have family history in racing. So that's cool that you also have family history in racing, because it actually stems a lot from how you go around and promote yourself today. When you get in a car, you have people that around you that are from racing, have a lot of history in racing, are able to give you information.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't come unnoticed.
Right, absolutely. So definitely thankful to have a lot of great people around me, and kind of have my dad be that guy that knows what goes on in the racing world, and knows, he's been a part of it before I was born. So we weren't new to it, when we kind of first started racing quarter midgets over at Silver City, just like you, although it's a new form of racing, because my dad didn't race go-karts. His first race car was an SK Modified, which is unbelievably crazy to think, right? I mean, most guys start off in a street stock or a go-kart or anything like that.
Right to it.
Went right in an SK Modified, right off the rip. So, definitely kind of crazy to think about now, but at the time, that's just what he wanted to do.
Right. And those of you guys who know Andrew Molleur, this kid has raced pretty much everything. Quarter midgets, bandoleros, legend cars, SK lights, SKs, wheeling mods, tour type mods, TQ midgets. What am I forgetting?
I actually started racing dirt carts over at Nutmeg Speedway in Shelton, which was not too far from where we lived. It was only 15 minutes away. So we started racing there, and it was right across the street from an auto body shop that my dad knew the guys that worked there, and it was perfect. We'd go there and race there the first year. I think I was 4. So I started racing with go-karts when I was 4, and just kind of was on from there. And then after that, we started racing quarter midgets a little bit. I actually raced the Wild Thing carts over at Stafford as well. So like you said, I've raced definitely a lot of different, lots of different cars. I mean, over my life, I mean, man, I can't even count exactly how many there are, but there's been so many different divisions, different classes, all the things like that I've been a part of, which is cool to think about, for sure.
Yeah, I can remember, when we were pretty little, me and you are not too far in age, just under 5 years. So that's kind of a lot in the racing in terms of divisioning, like, moving up or getting out of divisions, like you said, when I retired from quarter midgets, you were just getting into it.
Absolutely.
But when we moved down to Waterford, I moved down there in 2010. You moved down a couple of years later and started in the bandos. I can remember, having some conversations with you at the track and stuff like that. But it's cool to see us progress,
Absolutely.
Slowly through the divisions.
Yeah, and a lot of guys, take a lot of, that similar path, right? Where you go quarter midget racing, and then after quarter midget racing, when everyone's starting to kind of get to that age where they're either ready to move up or it's, or get out, right? It's, it's kind of, are you going to move on and race something else? Can you afford to do that? Some people aren't fortunate enough. I've been so grateful, so thankful that, we've been able to kind of move up and do some, bigger and better things. But, some people just aren't as fortunate enough to be able to, go along and kind of do something else in racing, and that's why I'm so happy to see a guy like Johnny Ternullo, who kind of has quarter midgets,
Right.
20.
Never forgot where he came from.
Absolutely. Never forgot where he came from, giving back to the community, making it as cheap as possible for a family to get into racing, to see if they like it. It would kind of be unfortunate, right, if you kind of get into quarter midget racing, you spend all the money on all the safety gear, you spend, all the money on the car and, buy all the parts from racechoice.com, and you kind of do all the good stuff like that, and your kid doesn't like it. Then you got to go and sell it, and who wants to buy safety? You got to sell the safety gear that they used a couple times, and man, that's got to be such a process. So to be able to have a guy like Johnny Ternullo now go out there and rent cars for as cheap as possible, that as cheap as he can offer them, it's definitely a great thing. So especially over at Silver City, I know we both started there. The memories I made over at Silver City were unbelievable. Never forget them to this day. Racing over there was, you would race against those people, but they were like family too.
Yeah, absolutely. Racing was a whole family.
You couldn't wait to get through the week at school, and couldn't wait to get to the track and hang out with your buddies, play football out in the infield, and just do all the stuff that kids like to do. Play toy cars in the dirt, and all the fun stuff. Eat snacks and. Go to the snack bar.
It was a blast. That's back when life was easy.
Ask my dad for $10 to go buy a greasy cheeseburger and Mountain Dew and just all that stuff that kids shouldn't be eating, but you just eat at the track. Going to the track, especially those days, was just so fun. Because you were there to race. Don't get me wrong, you were there to win, but you made fun of it too. Now when you go to the track, obviously you're there to race, there to win, and you want to have fun, but it's not like that. You're not.
It's not like it.
You and I aren't playing toy cars in the dirt after the races or anything like that. We can if you want to, but
no, I'm good. Those years have come and gone.
All right, whatever. But maybe I'll do that myself.
Yeah, you can do it.
But anyway, so those days were a lot of fun, and obviously moving on from Silver City did a hell of a lot of traveling with quarter midget racing.
Just going to get into that.
Yep. Yeah, I think around 2011, we kind of were starting to learn about other tracks around. I think actually 2010, we went to the Grands in Indy at the Indianapolis track there. Didn't make any of the races. We went all the way out there. I think that there was 1,000 quarter midgets that showed up for that race.
Wow.
We didn't make any of the races. I don't remember making any of those races, and that was kind of tough. We kind of went through a small stint of my dad being like, listen, is this for you? And I think I was playing T-ball at the time or something, and it's like, do you want to do this or not? And I did. I stuck with it, and the next year we went to the Grands in Oak Lane, 2011, and for those of you that don't know, the Grands is the biggest quarter midget race of the year.
Yeah, it's nationals basically for quarter midgets.
Yeah, and we went and did pretty well, made all the races and had a blast. And then we went traveling on the USAC tour after that, and ended up winning a USAC championship in the light mod, which was a huge deal. That was crazy. And at the time, when you're a kid racing quarter midgets, you're not thinking about the points.
No,
you're thinking about going out there, winning, and after that, you're gonna. Think about, which of your buddies you're going to ride bikes around the pits with or whatever, but winning a championship like that, and especially a national championship in USAC, was such a big deal. I never forgot, getting to go out to Indy, for the banquet. PRI was that, same weekend, and, going to the USAC banquet where all the sprint car guys and the, Silver Crown guys were there, and then going to our banquet. I got to pick out my own Traxxas RC car. All the champions got their own RC car, and even USAC used to give out these awesome trophies too. I got a guitar when we went to Nashville when I won. I got to kiss the bricks at Indy when we won there. Unbelievable experience. I mean, USAC does such a great job with their series and these tracks they get to run out. I know there's a NASCAR Youth Series now starting. With some of these quarter midget kids running at some of these NASCAR tracks. So man, that's got to be cool. And I wish they did that 10 years before, because I wish I got to be a part of that. But quarter midget racing is, as it's unbelievable. It really makes a good racer for sure.
Yeah, and you took the words right out of my mouth, because I was going to mention you traveling. You traveled a lot with quarter midgets. I believe you even traveled down south with legend cars a few times. So that is something to look back on. I mean, I didn't travel as much as you, I don't think, but traveling in racing is something you will never forget. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of memories you make at your home base track, but traveling, you're always going to remember that, whether it's with family, your crew members, just having good experiences or not good experiences. I'm sure you were a little bummed on, not making those races out in Indy. Yeah. But you look back on that, you remember that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And quarter midget racing is just, I can't say enough about it. I just can't say enough. I mean, we traveled all the way out to Las Vegas for a quarter midget race, and that was kind of one of my last ones. I think that was 2013 or 14 14. Yep. We traveled out there, ran in a parking lot behind the Borgata or something on the, at Las Vegas.
That's cool.
I was 11 or something like that, 12 years old, whatever.
For sure.
I don't know. I'm not really sure. I'll have to think about that one. We went all the way out there, and being 10 or 11 years old out in Vegas was just crazy. I mean, that, most people experience their Vegas experiences when they turn 21 or, after that, but mine was when I was 10 or 11 racing. So, cool experience. Traveled a lot, and, went down to Florida, we went to Georgia, went to, Pennsylvania, raced in Ohio a little bit, and, all these other tracks, New York, and, just traveled around a bunch, and it was so much fun. I mean, I'll never forget those days. Just such a blast. Yeah.
Quarter midgets, like we said, slim to none, can't unmatched. Memories last forever. So, fast forward a few years, Bandoleros, legend cars, SK lights, got a TQ midget in between. Kind of how is racing nowadays, so much different from back then in terms of, knowledge and learning more from your father?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely been a lot of influential people, part of my racing career, kind of as you progress. I know after we raced quarter midgets a little bit, I raced a Bando in 2011, and I had Tiger Tom Pistone as my, kind of coach in Bandolero racing. For those of you that don't know, Tiger Tom Pistone was a NASCAR Cup Series, driver back in like the 60s or 70s, whatever it was, back in the early days of NASCAR. So as a kid, I didn't know that. I didn't know who he was or anything. He was just this guy that was helping us along. But looking back on it now, I'm like, wow, this guy was a real deal. He knew his stuff. So like we talked about in your interview, raced at Concord a little bit. I mean, super awesome track. I think one of my first Bando races was at Concord. So I think I never won over there, but did have a podium. I think I finished third. And that was pretty cool. That track was awesome to race on. Absolutely. Yeah. It sucks that it had to go away, but that's why support your local short tracks. Absolutely. Always, please. Yeah. I mean, it's really important to support these tracks, and if they are going to close, to fight till the end, until the bulldozer rolls in to knock the track down. Fight till the end to keep them around, because or get out to some of these short tracks too and support them, because they need it, especially now. They need it as much as ever, because it's really going to suck to see some of these tracks go if they do. So definitely support local short tracks, because now it's love to go back to Concord to race, but you just can't. Unfortunately, It's never going to come back. So definitely was a cool experience there, and then moving into legend cars, like kind of took the same path as you, quarter midgets, bandos, legend cars. I'll be honest, I got into legend cars, and it was a wake-up call for me. Yeah. Seriously, it really was. Legend cars were the toughest things I ever drove. People will say all the time, I know people say it all the time, if you can drive a legend car, you can drive anything. They're crazy to drive. I mean, so much horsepower, treaded tires, big track, 12-year-old kid behind the wheel, no power steering, a street bike, Yamaha street bike engine. It's like, it's crazy to think about. But they're super fast and they really teach you how to handle a race car.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like you said, it's hard driving, hard being successful. You mentioned your faults a little bit, but now I kind of want to talk about Andrew Mollur's success. Andrew has had much success at Connecticut racetracks. He has wins at the Speed Bowl. He has wins at Stafford. Believe you don't have a win at Thompson yet, correct?
Don't have a win at Thompson yet. I'm hoping this year we can break through with
how
the
about
late
even
model.
next weekend? How about that?
True. Hopefully we can break through with the late model and grab ourselves a Thompson win. But no wins there, unfortunately. So
Right. So Stafford being, such a prestigious track, Friday nights under the lights, winning an SK race. Same with Waterford on Saturday nights, winning an SK race at Waterford. Kind of tell us the difference about winning at both tracks. And I mean, obviously a win is a win, but there's got to be a different sense of feeling there.
Yeah, I definitely would say I won an SK race at Stafford in 2019 and became the youngest feature winner in the SK Modified Division ever. So,
16, right?
16. So there are three of us at 16 years old that have won. Chase Dowling was the first one, then myself, and now Anthony Bello. So there's three of us at 16 years old that won an SK Modified race at Stafford. Very thankful to be part of that list. Winning at Stafford, winning that race was huge deal. I mean, working with Spafco Racing at the time, kind of a little bit, underdog, a little bit team. You had kind of guys, obviously Keith Rocco, right?
Yep.
All these good guys out there.
It's a little intimidating to be a 16-year-old and having, Keith Rocco.
Todd Owen, and I had to hold off Keith Rocco. I had to hold off Todd Owen during that race and beat Michael Jervis to the line by, a bumper.
Yeah.
So it was crazy experience. And when you win at Stafford, I will say this, when you win at Waterford, it's a big deal. I mean, it's an SK Modified race. It's against great guys.
A lot of history in Waterford.
Absolutely. Waterford, has some great history when it comes to short track racing. As for Stafford, the track is just kind of on that next level, and it's so hard to top it. They're adding safer barrier walls now. I mean, the place is starting to look kind of like a cup track. It's pretty ridiculously crazy how far they've come over the last 10, 15 years. They're having SRX races now live on ESPN. I think they're going to be this year. It's
Thursday
crazy
nights.
to think about that's happening in our local state. But I mean, winning at Stafford is huge. They have, they have 35,000 followers on Instagram. They have, thousands of followers on, Twitter and Facebook and all the stuff, TikTok, whatever it is. They have all those crazy followers. So when they post you, winning the race, when they have 35,000 followers, it's 35,000 people that see it. So, it's a good thing. It's a good feeling, knowing when you're successful there. But that comes with a lot of great competition too. I mean, there are so many different guys that can win at Stafford every week. And that's what makes it fun. But it also is what makes it frustrating too. It's everyone is within a tenth of each other. The top 15 cars are within a tenth in practice.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't want to adjust your car too much, to make it, slower, but you want to try and adjust it a little bit to make it faster. So you're trying to kind of find that happy medium a little bit. And,
absolutely.
And, it's so tough. There's so many guys that could win every week. So,
and if you're looking at watching NASCAR, I mean, Stafford Speed was mentioned during the clash at the Coliseum by Mike Joy.
Absolutely.
He mentioned it maybe in the duels at Daytona, the Daytona 500, talked about Ryan Preece, talked about Joey Logano, growing up in Connecticut, making, the trips to Silver City. Joey Logano actually raced a couple of Busch North races at Stafford. Mm-hmm. So definitely a profound track. The Busch North even went to Waterford back in the day as well. So two really awesome tracks. Thompson has some more recent history. Thompson, as well as Stafford, had some K&N races in 2016 and 2018. So Thompson and Stafford, really doing a great job. Waterford, their car count's getting back up there. So all three tracks in Connecticut have so much history, and a lot of people that support them is what makes it count.
I mean, Thompson being the first paved track, paved short track. I mean, that's pretty cool to have that in our own local state like that. So Connecticut is full of racing, man. We even have a road course in Connecticut, famous road course of Lime Rock. Yep. So it's just cool to have three short tracks at our disposal within less than 2 hours of each other.
Absolutely.
Right? Waterford for me is a little less than an hour away. Stafford being about an hour and a half, and then Thompson being closer to 2 hours. But having those right kind of in my backyard almost, right? You know, some guys have to travel 4 or 5 hours to their track. I mean, most I have to travel is 2 hours to any, you know, to a track. So super thankful to be able to have, you know, and these tracks kind of all run the same kind of cars too, which is nice. You don't really have to make too many crazy changes to your car to go and race at Thompson, Stafford, Waterford, whatever it is. So, you know, like I said, it's great to have these tracks kind of right in my backyard.
Yep. Yeah, like me and Andrew go to all three of them all the time. So we're constantly at every single racetrack. We have, you know, great times with friends, racing family, our family. So it's definitely something we won't take for granted, and we look back on it.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. And, you know, I'm just glad to have had, you know, the experiences I have had. I mean, obviously, you know, moving on from legend cars and kind of moving into the modifieds was a big deal. My dad raced modifieds, and, you know, growing up, going to Stafford, right? Like, I mean, watching modifieds, you know, home of the SK modifieds at Stafford, right?
Literally what it's called.
It's just crazy to watch. And then being like, you know, sitting in the stands, you know, because obviously not old enough to go in the pits as a little kid. Man, I'd love to be out there someday. Where would I be running if I was out there right now? You know, I want to be out there so bad. And to be able to get the opportunity someday is unbelievable. And you know that feeling too.
Absolutely.
I mean, you know, watching races at Stafford and Waterford and Thompson, and to be able to finally be out there at some point is got to be a huge dream come true. Yep. So I'm definitely grateful that I've, you know, had the opportunity to be able to do things like that. And, you know, modified racing is definitely, you know, is definitely in my heart for sure. And, you know, will be forever. So I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, that's a great history. You bring up, you know, talking about your history with your dad racing up to this point. I do want to get into your plans for this year because you have a really cool and new slate this year. Obviously, you mentioned that, I don't know if you mentioned it yet, but you're not running SKs full-time at Stafford this year, so that's going to be a little bit of a change for you. You've been used to running SKs for a few years now at Stafford full-time. Yeah. So talk about your late model deal as well, and what else are we going to see from Andrew Molleur Racing in 2023?
Yeah, so basically this year we're kind of, you know, we're kind of taking a little bit different direction in my racing career a little bit. You know, last year we ran like 90 races. I mean, we bought our own late model for 2022 from the guy that I'm running for in the ACT series this year. So we ran that, you know, a late model last year, all year at the Bowl. We ran an SK, you know, all year at the Bowl. We ran an SK all year at Stafford. We ran late model all year at Stafford. We ran open shows with our car, the 3-car, you know, it was a lot of racing, a lot of, and some TQ races. So close to 90 races throughout the year. So this year, you know, kind of taking a little bit different direction. We're not returning with the 31 over at Stafford and the late models there. But I'm very appreciative of, you know, everything that I learned in the last couple of years with Rob Russell and RRC over at Stafford. They've really taught me a lot about fender racing and kind of grew my passion for fender racing. You know, no one ever gave me a chance or an opportunity behind the wheel of a fender car. So to have them giving me that chance has been great. So yeah, this year we're running the full ACT Tour this year, which is a pretty big deal. My first full year running a tour. You know, I've never really run the full Whelen Tour or, you know, anything along the lines of that. So running the full ACT Tour is a big deal. Prestigious tour. They've been around for a long time. A lot of, you know, big names have raced the ACT Tour. So I'm looking forward to it, man. We're going to have hopefully a great year. We're going to have, you know, great car, great team with Jason Glad over Team 31 Racing, and happy to be a part of it. I'm just very excited to get into that. So, you know, I'm going to go to tracks like Loudon, Waterford, you know, Stafford, Thunder Road, and White Mountain, Lee, just to name a few. So, I'm, you know, Oxford 250 weekend, we'll be racing the 125 over there. So, I'm just looking forward to it. It's going to be a great year. And other than that, you know, no SK racing full time at Stafford,
Waterford, correct?
No, I'm gonna be racing an SK at Waterford about 12 or 13 races. Yep. When we're not running the ACT Tour.
So still not full time.
Yeah,
correct?
So not full time, but and then a couple, you know, some late model races as well at Waterford. So, but definitely gonna be different. Not running every Friday night. You know, I'm definitely gonna miss it. But still gonna definitely go and hang out and watch racing over there because, you know, like we've talked about, can't stay away, but yeah, it's going to be different for sure. But I really appreciate, you know, everything that Keith Rocco has done for us over the last 3 years. Learned a lot working with him. I mean, he's really become kind of, you know, like family to us, you know, just working with him over the last 3 seasons has been awesome. He's been a great teacher.
Absolutely.
He's been a great, help, a great mentor, and we have a hell of a lot of fun hanging out with him, as you know. I mean, he's a lot of fun. When you kind of get to know him and he opens up, man, he's
got to break him in a little bit.
He's so much fun. So just always breaking balls and just having a good time working in the shop. He's a great guy, and happy to have him, kind of part of Team RaceChoice too, which is nice. So. Yeah, this season, looking forward to it.
We're really excited for you. Like, me being your friend now, we work together every day. So don't see you as much in the summer, even now, because, traveling and racing. Yeah. So we all support you at RaceChoice. We're really proud of your success. We want to see you do well this year and get the RaceChoice name out there even more, see it in victory lane. So we're really excited for 2023.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a lot of fun. Like I said, I mean, we're looking forward to it. A lot of cool tracks we're going to, and trying to kind of build that Fender resume a little bit.
Absolutely.
So definitely looking forward to that. There in modified racing, there's really only so far you can go, and that's kind of the Whelen Mod Tour, and that's kind of like the Whelen Modified Tour, in my opinion, feels almost like the Cup Series in the Northeast, right? Yeah, it's kind of like it's
literally NASCAR modified.
Yeah. So to kind of run some Fender stuff. Obviously, we're going to be running with, Port City race cars, which, they have, a Port City race cars up north, and then they have one down south as well. So, might have some opportunities to do some southern stuff. I don't want to really dig into that too much, but hopefully things kind of line up, and we'll see what happens there. But definitely looking forward to this year. I think we're going to have some good success for sure.
Absolutely. So before we get to the home stretch, and you can spiel on about who you'd like to thank and who you're real excited for, who else you're real excited to bring aboard this year. You talked about the crew chiefs and stuff like that.
Yep.
I want to backtrack just a little bit because something came to my mind during this interview. I want to take it back to, I believe, 2016, so about 7 years ago. I opened Facebook one day, and you were like famous, like breaking news everywhere. Do you have a hint on what I might be referring to?
Man, something.
So it had something to do with.
I don't think I was old enough to have Facebook at that time.
Yeah, maybe you weren't old enough to do a lot of things. I think. So
yeah,
I think the headline was Andrew Molleur wins first SK Light race under investigation for current age or something like that.
Yeah.
What was that about?
So it was a pretty big deal. I'll never forget it. It was, first and foremost, let me start off by saying that, this whole deal wasn't really to hurt anybody. It wasn't like a malicious thing. It wasn't to, put anyone in harm's way or anything. It was, my dad kind of felt like I was just ready to move on, take that next step and race SK Lights. We felt like we were ready. We did a little bit of SK Light racing in 2015. So raced a race at Thompson, a couple at Waterford, raced a race at Lee. So we did some modified racing in 2015. And 2016, we were going to run the whole year. Struggled a little bit at the beginning. Nabbed a podium kind of a couple races in. Had another iffy race. And then after that, I think it was 4th of July weekend. We were headed to the track, and I'll never forget it. I just had gotten an Evel Knievel painted helmet. My new helmet for the season that I got from RaceChoice. We painted up like Evel Knievel's helmet. I just thought that was kind of cool. He was always kind of a guy I used to watch videos of doing crazy stunts and all that stuff like that. And, got the helmet painted up and, all the USA, if you've ever seen his helmet, it's kind of got the American flag with some silver. And my dad, we were in traffic on the way to Waterford, and my dad, we were talking about, the race, and, he was like, we just got that, new Evel Knievel helmet. He's like, it's 4th of July weekend. If you win, you better put that helmet up on the roof, because it's 4th of July weekend. And I was like, yeah, okay, if we win, sure, whatever, Because, at that time, SK Lights were stacked field, guys like Corey Berry, right? Churchill and, there were, Buzel. There was a lot of fast cars out there at the time.
Paul French, I believe.
Yeah. So, we ended up winning that night. I mean, it was a crazy finish. Corey Berry and Randy Churchill got into each other. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the video.
Was that on turn 1 where they?
No, it was off of turn 4.
Off turn 4. Okay.
I was closing in a little bit, but definitely wouldn't have had enough to get by him if there was another 10, 20 laps. I think that they were definitely fast. I was fast enough to keep up, but not so much really to get by, I don't think. And the laps were winding down, and going into 3, they kind of made a little bit of contact, and off of 4. I think, I don't remember who got into who, but they kind of got into one another. And I think Churchill spun and Corey Berry got through, and I snuck by on the bottom, and it was the bottom or top, whatever it was. I snuck by and won the race, and became.
No, I remember that. It's more familiar in my mind now.
Yep. It was a big deal. We were super excited, and it was a cool experience, man. I mean, super young, winning an SK light race like that for Kenny Berry. It was kind of very young, and race. With Kenny Berry, he kind of his father, right, Art Berry, had so much success, and let me tell you something. Kenny Berry over at Spafco, I wouldn't be where I am today without him. He's done so much for me in my racing career, taught me a lot, and really has turned me into the driver I am today. So I'm definitely very thankful for what Kenny Berry and Spafco have done for my racing career, and I'm very thankful for everything. So, but like I said, I was just happy to finally win with him and get them that win, and then kind of we celebrated and we're happy. I remember going out to a lunch with my parents, my grandparents, after the day after on that Sunday. And, the article came out that I was, we were under investigation for being underage and all that stuff like that. And, obviously kind of knew that was kind of the beginning of the end there. So it was a whole deal. We got suspended from NASCAR for the remainder of the year, and no more SK Light Racing. Eventually, they did take the win away from us. So let us keep the trophy and all that stuff. But they did take the win away points-wise. So it doesn't technically that win doesn't really count in their eyes. For me, it does. But I crossed the line first and passed Tech, so it counts for me. But like I said, it was definitely a crazy experience. And unfortunate. I'm glad that it kind of happened and it's over with. It's kind of something to look back on and be like, man, this was some kind of a crazy part of my racing career, but hey, it happened, right? You can't avoid it. I hate to avoid it. When people bring it up, some people think maybe I'll get upset, if they bring it up, but I don't mind talking about it. I feel like it's part of my past, and it's okay to talk about. It's okay to go over, and we can laugh about it now. So,
absolutely.
Like I said, it was got the win taken away, and NASCAR kind of gave us the suspension a little bit, but we were able to kind of talk with them and work things out, and ended up kind of smoothing things over a little bit and getting our NASCAR license back for 2017. We returned with Kenny Berry after that, the incident kind of with the age, and we're able to win, I think, 3 races that season and finished second in points behind Dana DiMatteo by 2 points. So in 2016, the year before that, I actually was announced as a Legend Car champion on Saturday nights due to a tiebreaker with, what's his name? Rogers.
Yep.
And they announced us winning the championship, went through Tech, and after Tech, they were like, hey, we made a mistake. You're not the champion. Kyle Rogers is the champion.
I never knew that.
Yeah. So I got the pictures with the flag and, did a championship, front church speech and all that stuff. And, they announced us as not being the champion afterwards. So that was unfortunate. That was a bummer. That was a really tough year. 16 was a tough year. That was kind of it almost seemed like the nail in the coffin, man. Just like, kind of had that kind of year where it's just like, man, I just can't wait for this year to be over, and then finish off the year by a final nail in the coffin. But thankfully, had a crowbar inside the coffin and opened it back up and got back out. And,
good analogy right there.
Yeah, kept on digging my way out of the hole, I guess you could say. But
me and you have had some interesting racing stories.
Yeah.
Very different in a way, but also very similar in a way, I would say. So I've been following you on social media for a long time. You have obviously promoted yourself very well, not just looking from my perspective because I'm your friend or I work with you, but everywhere I talk, even going to the racetrack, people know that Andrew Molleur Racing promotes himself very well on social media. And you kind of have to nowadays, wouldn't you say? Yeah,
social media is such a big deal nowadays, right? It's so hard to make it into the sport of NASCAR. So you got to try to do everything you can to promote your sponsors, to get sponsors, to just anything you can to put yourself out there a little bit more, whether even if it's out of your comfort zone a little bit, just showing off, having a good time, or, anything it is, just, social media is so important to take advantage of. I mean, it's simple as, taking a picture, logging on there, typing something up and posting it. I mean, I take social media extremely seriously. Some people laugh at me and be like, you're posting TikToks, what are you, Addison Ray or whatever. You're going to make a dance TikTok, whatever. Yeah. But I do it because I want to promote my sponsors. I want to try and give back to them. I'm so big on if one of our sponsor stickers gets scratched on our car, I have to replace it. I don't care what it is, how much I have to spend to get someone to make me the sticker to put it back on. I need it to be on that car because these are the people giving me the money, supporting me, and trying to help me boost my career. I have to make sure I do everything I can to get them and their company out there as well. So it's just, I take it seriously. I love, interacting with people on social media, right? Whether it's Facebook. I mean, Facebook has kind of, we kind of started a new page not too long ago, and I mean, it's been doing pretty well, and I love making posts on there and just, obviously, I've had some people take some great pictures for me, and I love using those to my advantage, and kind of posting those up and having people kind of, I just like having posts for people to look at. Go on there and be like, this is cool. He's running this car, and this, he ran this car, and this car. And so, I think it's cool to just take advantage of a free service like that,
Yeah. So definitely tune in, those of you who are on social media, to Molleur Racing. Facebook is great. You promote yourself a lot on TikTok. You make some pretty cool TikToks. And like you said, who doesn't like free advertisement like that? True. And seeing some cool stuff?
For sponsors, it's huge. They appreciate it. I know a lot of my sponsors I've talked to, they really appreciate, the coverage that they get on social media. I mean, on Facebook we have, over 1,500 followers, which doesn't seem like a lot, but to the local area, kind of a lot of local crowd, it's a big deal.
It's 1,500 more than somebody who races who doesn't have any social media. So that's the way you got to look at it.
It's true. I have over 2,000 on Instagram. I mean, just kind of doing whatever I can, whether even paying for sponsored posts. I mean, just trying to do anything I can to promote sponsors that help me out is so important to me for sure. So. I'm just thankful to have social media. A lot of guys, right, like back in 90s, early 2000s, didn't have stuff like this to be able to promote their sponsors.
Not even cell phones,
No, and it's crazy to think. So now being able to have platforms like this, like TikTok, like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, to be able to just make up a quick post, and kind of show off my sponsors, show how thankful and my gratitude towards them, supporting me is, it means the world to them, and I really love doing it. So it all works out.
Yeah. So wrapping up here, you have thanked many people along the way for your racing career. Most importantly, your dad. People that are going to help you in 2023. You have some crew chiefs, some people that have been with you before, I believe, and who else would you like to just give a shout out to that is going to make your 2023 season as successful as possible?
Yeah, I'd like to touch back on my dad for a minute. He, big part of my racing career, always supported me from day one until now and always wants the best for me. Has always wanted the best no matter what it is, what it's been, what we've done, how good or bad we've done, whatever it is. He always wants the best for me. He always supports me. He always, he'll fight to the death. Even if I did something wrong, he'll, have my back no matter what. And the loyalty from my dad has been awesome. He's been so supportive of me. And I'm just so thankful to have a dad like that who is, will do anything it takes to get me to the next level, to, help me, win that next race, whatever it is. He's been awesome, and I can't thank him enough. I can't repay him, a lot of money to repay him, but
I can't repay him financially.
Yeah,
no, that's out of the question.
Yes, so but he's been awesome, so I can't thank him enough for sure, and what he's done for me. Moving on from him, this year Jason Glaude is going to be helping us out with our late model. He owns the late model we're running, and after his driver for many years, Ryan Morgan, decided to retire. We kind of formed a alliance and a partnership with Jason, and I'm so thankful because he really loves racing and loves to win. So I'm very thankful to be driving his beautiful gloss black 31 late model, and very excited to be a part of that. Other than that, my crew guys that have been with us for a long time, Joe and Tom.
Joe's awesome.
Yeah, they've been
they
a part.
Both are. Yeah,
they've been a part of my racing for a long time. Tom worked on my dad's modified.
Yep.
And Joe worked on his uncle's modified back at back in the day at Riverside Park. So having them with me is awesome. Obviously, I have other guys too, like Brendan, Barry, Chris, You know, everybody that helps out with us, you know, I'm so appreciative. I know I'm probably forgetting a few guys because I have so many. Super Dave, Al, everybody that helps us out. I'm very thankful for them. Obviously, you know, a lot of sponsors too as well. CBYD back with us for another year. Can't thank them enough for what they've done. They're a big part of my racing. RaceChoice.com. I mean, you know, not just saying that because, you know, we work there, but RaceChoice has been huge. They've been one of my longest sponsors for the longest part of my racing career. I mean, they no matter what it is, what I need, they're right there to help me out and get me what I need to get to the racetrack or to, you know, work in the shop, whatever it may be. I can't thank them enough. You know, Green's Construction, Buzz Truck and Diesel Service has been huge as well. They gave us a tractor to tow our trailer with. That's a huge deal. So can't thank them enough for that. Stormies and Keepers, you know, FK Rod Ends. You know, just, you know, everyone that's kind of been helping out on our race car.
Feels like a victory lane speech right now. I love it.
No, you know, these people deserve,
right? Absolutely,
they deserve the recognition.
Absolutely.
You know, Brooklyn's restaurant in Brooklyn, Connecticut, part of our 31 crew, Joey Guns. You know, I mean, man, the list goes on and on. There's so many partners that we have that I can't thank enough. Port City Race Cars, Troy Race Cars, Keith Rocco Racing. You know, anyone that's helped us out, helped us get to victory lane, helped us get to the track, helped us in the shop, whatever it may be. I mean, I just can't thank them enough. I mean, we could be here all night talking about everyone that's helped me out, but you know who you are, and I'm so thankful forever for what they've done for me and helped me to get to this point. So thank you.
So it was great sitting down with you today, Andrew. Appreciate all you've done, and we are excited to watch you in 2023. So there you guys have it. Andrew Molleur, Shelton, Connecticut racer. Watch him next weekend at the Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park, the late model race, Friday, April 7th, Saturday, April 8th, and as he begins his racing season in Connecticut.
Thank you.